Hello guys, welcome back to the second episode of Candy Spice Garden, and let's get down to business. So this is one of the few trees in the world that produce two things. So there are only a few trees in the world, and here we have two spices in one tree, in one fruit, and by just looking at it, you might think that this is apricot. For a Westerner, every time they see this fruit, they think that it is apricot. But in Sri Lanka, apricots are rare. This is actually another important spice we have in Sri Lanka. Not only in Sri Lanka, all over the world. In the sense, in Asia, this is very famous. And this is actually the nutmeg tree. We call this one nutmeg, and Europeans call this one muscat. If you go to Europe and if you want to buy some nutmeg, you can ask for muscat. In German it is called Muskatnuss, and basically muscat reminds them of this magnificent spice. And let's see what exactly is inside this fruit. So I have a nutmeg fruit in my hand. Basically, if you want to make some nutmeg, we need to wait for this one to crack on the tree. Later we might be able to show you a cracked one, and let's say that it gets cracked. So, and then what's inside is the nutmeg, and then it falls. When it falls, we know that it's a fully grown, mature nutmeg. So I have got this picked one, the picked nutmeg, and let's cut this one and see what's inside. And I have to say that this is for me, this is the most beautiful spice in the world. It's amazing what's inside. This is what's inside a nutmeg fruit. Like I said, two spices, one tree, and one fruit. Once you open it, you can see this red color part, and also you see the brown color part, and the red color part is very, very rare. It's expensive compared to the more common spice, which is nutmeg. And this is the thing many people do not know what exactly it is. So two spices, one looks like a flower. This one almost looks like saffron, the most expensive spice in the world, but it is not saffron. And this one is the common one, nutmeg. I'll first start to talk about this one, nutmeg. In Sri Lanka, this is a good home remedy for stomachache. People have to grate this one, get the powder, put some lime, and then they need to swallow it. So this is something that each and every household would have. Our grandmothers, every time we get a stomachache, they would just grate it, get the powder, put some lime, and then they would ask us to swallow. And it's been known for ages. When we talk about the cooking purposes, nutmeg is used in noodles. We simply grate this one and then sprinkle it on top of noodles. Also, when it comes to mashed potatoes, they have to simply grate it and then sprinkle it all over the mashed potatoes. Also, we have this thing called vatalappang. Vatalappang is a pudding-like thing in Sri Lanka. It's not actually known in Europe. It's our own thing in Sri Lanka. So when we make vatalappang also, to make sure that the person who eats vatalappang does not get a stomachache or something, they put nutmeg powder also. Those are the uses of nutmeg. Let's focus our attention on the other spice we have, the red color thing. This is known as the maize spice. This is called maize. Maize is somewhat expensive compared to this one. Mace is used also in certain Ayurvedic medicines, especially sometimes they make some medicine for stomach ache. And also let's talk about the culinary uses, the cooking purposes. So they take this one, and then when they make things like beef, they put this one, so it tenderizes beef. And this is the least important out of all the three parts. So this part they take, sometimes they make jam out of this one. It's kind of sour, not kind of, it's actually sour. So they have to take this one, put lots of sugar, and then they make jam out of this one, chutney, all those things. So that's something about nutmeg. All right. Okay guys, what you see here are called turmeric. Turmeric, and sometimes the pronunciation differs from country to country. If you go to a country like Australia or New Zealand, they will call this one turmeric, and if you go to the other parts of the world, they will call it turmeric. Turmeric and turmeric. It's just different pronunciations, but it's the same thing. But if you go to Europe and ask for turmeric, they wouldn't understand unless you say curcuma. So for them, it's curcuma. And if you go to Arabic countries, it's curcum. So what you see here are curcum or curcuma, or as we call it, turmeric plants. And basically what they do is they get the roots and they cut them into small pieces like this, and then they need to plant it. And as you can see here, we get these plants. So normally a plant would take around 6 months to grow to a certain extent, and then after like 7 months the plant dies. Once the plant is dead, we know that the root has grown to a certain extent, certain size, and then it's dead. And then in about 2 or 3 months it starts to grow again, and then it dies after like 6 months for the second time. When the plant is dead for the second time, we take it, and this is how it looks. This is how a turmeric root would look. And basically we take it, remove the skin, and then we can have turmeric roots. We dry it, and then we need to grind this one. Turmeric has lots of uses. Turmeric is used in medicine, especially when it comes to Ayurvedic medicine, they use turmeric. Also when it comes to cosmetics, especially for whitening creams, they use turmeric. Also for pimples, scars, patches, black marks, for many things, people use this one. And in Sri Lanka, people literally worship this one. They actually have them in front of certain temples. They just use this one basically for everything, for religious purposes. Sometimes if you go to a temple, the priest would just take a little bit of this one and then simply apply on your forehead. That's certain ritual they perform. Also this one is actually, the price of turmeric is going up in the world, because most of the time they prefer this one to the normal chemical mixed sanitizer you have at home. So always people all over the world, not only in Asia, they have actually gotten used to the practice of using turmeric. So those are the things that sometimes people do not know about. Most of the time people use this one just for cooking purposes. Now they have actually other important uses as well.